Hi, this is Jack Downs with a little layout review for a couple items that are happening in Cardinal Points. Um, and let's see if I get that straightened out. I didn't fix that. Paragraph style, byline 2. Okay. Of course, I'm using my own styles and uh, template and stuff like that. And yours is of course different, a little bit different. Some of this is suggestions and information for anyone managing and your template that everyone is using. It should ideally be one person, so lots of people aren't messing with the template, but it needs to be hopefully improved regularly. There have already been a lot of changes this semester. The layout is looking a lot better. Why do I harp on layout? Well, it's an important skill. We're doing it. We should do it right, and we're hoping that someday we will start to print a little bit again. So it's important to keep up that skill. So some of these notes have to do with the template, and others have to do with what everyone is doing in layout itself. A couple of things about the template, and you can even establish this even if you just open up a page that doesn't have it. I like having a guide at the top, which is going to be a set distance from the folio, and when the template opens up, hopefully that guide will be there automatically. It should be about probably one gutter, maybe 1.5 gutters, maybe 2 gutters, depending on what you want. Right, so that guide should be there and be standardized. I have used my body copy, different than yours, to fill these boxes. But notice I also put on a byline in each of these little fake stories, and I put a subhead in. In this case, there's one subhead. Some people call these chapter heads also. In this case, there's a couple of them. Notice that I shouldn't see, if the styles are made correctly, the bylines, subheads, email lines at the bottom of stories. Ideally, these can actually be part of the actual document and not extra boxes thrown on top. That saves you time, and fewer boxes means fewer things get lost and fewer things pushing things around to make your work confusing. Okay. So that would take some work in the creating the paragraph styles that work properly, because anytime you have styles that change the alignment of your text, you are making your life harder, because you have a couple of sticks then, that one with a subhead and one with not, or one with a byline and others with not, as is very common, and they're automatically not going to line up at the bottom. So you're always adjusting. Of course, we always do have to make adjustments anyway, okay, when we add other obstacles to the text. So I'm going to take a column rule and decide that I'm going to use this column rule, and you should have column rules some sort of like this. I hope you do. I supplied some, or you should think about making them. And whenever you're using a vertical column rule, you have to decide which side of the copy it is going to come out of, essentially, right? Okay, so I've drawn my column rule down, and I can always go off my measure to see what things look like, and I like that kind of a look. I've got essentially a full gutter on either side of the vertical column rule. Most people are getting this correctly on their pages. If you are not, notice that when I did that, of course, I went to whichever side I decided to take the space out of. I have a little bit narrower measure now. I've gone off the grid. So I really suggest we want to do away with narrow measures and make them wider whenever possible. So I'll change the number of sticks. And I could get to that with Control B also. I could get to Control B with a number of sticks. Text frame options, a very powerful box menu. Okay. I also wanted to mention, of course, I could have some obstacles in this text here. And I'm going to just draw a box. I automatically have some text wrap on that. Good. Okay. I'm going to imagine I have an image in here. Okay, right. And I'm not going to pull the image in right now. And do I have a caption? I do have one here, yeah. I'm going to imagine I have a caption in there. All right. I like having these things already styled and ready and so on. Of course, now my stuff's not lining up. One of the great reasons to use subheads or chapter heads and have them handy is, of course, because we can use them to move copy around a little bit. I'm starting to see that in some stories where people doing layout are rightfully trying to make things line up down to the bottom, which is very nice. They are going into individual paragraphs, perhaps, and maybe not a very long paragraph. It's more visible, like in this one, and changing the leading. Do not change the leading on individual paragraphs. Please do not. The nice thing about having subheads is you can change the leading either of the subhead itself, or ideally of just the blank line, to just line things up perfectly down here. Blank lines, leading in blank lines is largely invisible to us. So one way or the other, you get things lined up and get things lined up over here. When the alignment is extremely close, I'll tell you something you can do. But you should only do this after you get the alignment extremely close and you just want to make it perfect. Are you a perfectionist? That's great. Then layout is the thing for you. But only when I get it very close will I go to justify vertical justification. And that will force it fully into the box. Now look at it, made a very, very slight change. But the nice thing is it made the change over a lot of lines. I have to be careful if I'm doing that in an area where there's just not very much text, and I'm trying to make it grow a significant amount. I want to get it just about perfectly aligned, and then I can do that if I'm a perfectionist. What I'm not seeing is very many horizontal rules. Of course, the horizontal rule goes the same way, and it would go across the page, and it would take up that same amount of space. And if I had another unit down here someplace, which hopefully would have a much smaller head of some kind, right? And be up here like that or something like that, right? And then I would try to adjust my spacing on that. That spacing top and bottom is pretty good. This could probably go down a couple of clicks to get the spacing a little better. And when I eyeball it, yes, but my goal is to have the same kind of spacing roughly as I do here, which is about a gutter top and bottom. So please think about using the horizontal rules, not just the vertical ones. Think about your alignment, and those of you working with the styles and shapes, the library items, and especially styles, think about making your life easier and building in bylines and subheads, not to change the way they look for you. I'm not trying to change your look, but in a way that makes layout go more smoothly, and actually these things become part of the overall text. I hope that was helpful. Please feel free, if you run into any layout problems or questions while you're in middle layout, well, I may or may not be available, but I'm happy to work with you on things like that too.